So, I mean, with that being said, here's some things I want to try and achieve in 200 days. I want to obtain enough ancient debris to turn all of my tools into netherite. And well, of course, if we are going to craft all of our tools into netherite, we are going to need the best of the best enchantments. So I guess I'll add that on the list as well. Another thing I want to do is get enough valuables to build a full max level beacon. And the final thing I want to do is defeat an ocean monument. But apart from that, let the 200 days begin. Our journey begins directly from where we last left off. I was back on my island, and the first thing I decided to do was go and say hi to my cows. I was really hoping they would be excited to see me, and well, to my surprise, they were over the moon. As cool as it was to look around my island again and even say hello to my cows, I couldn't let that distract me from what really needed to be done on day 101. I knew as soon as I was diving back in to do another 200 days, I would need villagers, and I would need a lot of them. So I checked my chest and saw I only had one piece of iron. I would need iron for a bunch of rail carts to be able to transport the villagers all the way over from the village to my base. It would be a very difficult task to do, but it was needed. I mined in one straight line for quite some time, coming across all of the valuables I could think of, but the only thing I needed was iron, so I kept going until I stumbled across an abandoned ravine. I hadn't been here before, but I knew for sure it looked unsafe. As long as I got the iron I needed and got out of there, I would be fine, right? Well, that's what I thought. Until, as I was mining for the iron, strange creatures were trying to run at me and attack me. I was able to fend them off for a while and get the iron I needed, but something unimaginable happened. A brand new enemy I hadn't seen before. The flying creeper. And it wasn't only one flying creeper. To my surprise, there was two of these things. I need to get this iron, and I have to get out of here. Oh, this is dangerous. I knew I had to get the iron quick, but I just couldn't help myself. There was too many diamonds. Yes, we got more diamonds. With the power of Fortune 3, I was quickly able to turn these 2 diamonds into 3, and I was able to get all the iron I needed. I checked my inventory and saw that I had stacks on stacks of iron, so I decided to leave it there and go home for day 101. I was so happy to be back on my island, and I got a good night's rest ready for day 102. Surprisingly, day 102 was a lot less action-packed than day 101. I pretty much chopped trees until the sun set, and I got a bunch of sticks ready to craft all of the rails I would need. It became nighttime really quickly, so I headed back to my base and got ready for day 103, where I basically spent all of my gold and all of my iron on rails. I then equipped my elytras and went flying out to find the village again. I sort of knew where it was, so I headed in the direction to find the village, and there it was. I was inside the village and I prepared the rails. I didn't have enough rails to go straight to my base, so I did have to keep going back, destroying rails and pretty much reusing them. This took ages. Now, getting the villagers back to my base actually took a lot longer than I expected, and the reason for that is because every time I accidentally broke the minecart or something, the villagers did not want to cooperate. They would run as far away from the minecart as possible, and it was getting really hard to keep them under control. But when I was bringing the villagers back to my base, one of them wanted to speak to me and tell me about something. I found this rather interesting, and I guess I'll tell you guys what he wanted me to tell you about, so here we go. He told me to tell you guys how there is only a limited time left on the Halloween event on my server. So guys, if you haven't already joined, make sure you do so, because when this event ends, there will be a brand new one, and I'm sure you guys don't want to miss out. So join the survival experience right now. But without further ado, let's get these villagers back to my base. Now, another thing I will add on getting these villagers back to my base, there was so many mobs on the way, and seeing as I didn't bring a bed with me, the mobs were getting out of control. But thankfully, by day 107, I was able to get all the villagers down in my base. I was super excited, and all of that hard work was over. I didn't have to go back to the village ever again. I could breed the villagers right here. I was super happy until this happened. No! Oh no. There's a villager in the nether. This is not good. This is not good. Where did it go? No, it's gone. Where's the villager gone? All of that hard work, and it's gone. There's no way I forgot to block off the nether portal. I've got to go and do that all again. Oh my goodness, I cannot believe that's just happened. Seeing as I had already brought 2 villagers from the village back to my base, getting the 3rd one there was pretty easy. I patched up my base, and I learnt from my mistakes and blocked off the nether portal as well. Anyway, this was it. I had the 2 villagers in my base, so I threw them some potatoes and tried to get them to breed. By day 110, we had another villager in the base. Up to this point, I was doing some pretty advanced stuff, and I forgot about the basics, you know, farming and even breeding my cows. So that's what I ended up doing for day 110, but then I thought, I can't just let the villagers live in my base. They need their own home, so that's where I dived into the depths of the nether to try and get some resources to build them a base. I saw this green wood and I like the look of it, so that's basically what I spent the other half of day 110 doing. I got a bunch of building resources, and I kind of had a good idea of what I should do for the villager's home. Oh, and not to mention, on the way back home, I found an old friend, the mending villager. But he didn't want to go back through the portal, so I decided to make him his own luxury mansion. Just kidding, I put him somewhere else. I guess he liked it there. Anyway, I got some glowstone and more building resources, and I was ready for day 111, where I was going to build the villagers the best home they had ever seen. I spent days crafting a brand new home for the villagers. I really wanted them to like it, and I wanted it to feel like home, so I built this big area where they can all meet up and most importantly do their trades. I also created multiple holes in the walls. This would be a place where I could store the villagers that have the best trades, so I don't end up losing them or muddling them up with the other villagers. Before I knew it, I was completely done making the villagers' brand new home, and by day 116, it was time to move all the villagers in to their brand new home. I transported them down, and take a second to look at the smiles on their faces. They were very happy, so I decided to give them some potatoes, but I thought one thing was missing. It didn't feel enough like home for them, so I decided to bring down a bunch of beds. After moving them in, I created a bunch of bone meal because I thought I would need a bunch of potatoes if I actually wanted the villagers to breed. So I spent a lot of day 117 farming for a bunch of potatoes. I was able to get quite a lot of potatoes, and I decided then to bring them down into the villagers' home and throw all of the potatoes at them to see if they would breed. And to my surprise, they did. By 118, we had a brand new villager. I made some workbenches as well to see if I could get lucky with a mending book. It did take quite a lot of time to try and get the trades I wanted, and after a bunch of terrible enchanted books, I was super excited that I had a mending villager right under my base. And one of the villagers escaped, so I guess I have one just roaming around my base now. One of the villagers became a farmer. They were doing 26 potatoes for 1 emerald, and this was amazing. I was able to use all my bone meal, regrow up all of the potatoes, and basically have an infinite supply of emeralds. I'm hoping that maybe with these emeralds I can get an emerald beacon eventually, but for now I was focusing on the mending book. I went back down to that villager, sold all of my potatoes for emeralds, and was getting a step closer to having a mending book, and I wanted to use this mending book on my elytras. Eventually I was able to get enough emeralds, went up, crafted a book, headed over to the villager, and they were happy to do the trade for the mending book. I then put the mending book on the elytras, and I then had a mending elytra. For day 119, I decided it was time to plan my next adventure. I wanted to explore the nether, so I went out and got a bunch of creepers to get gunpowder to make a bunch of fireworks so I could fly freely around the nether and explore it as much as I wanted. By the end of day 120, I had a bunch of gunpowder that I turned into fireworks and decided it was time to go to my next adventure, the nether. I spent some time mending up my elytra and decided it was then time to venture around the nether. I had a bunch of fireworks, really good durability on my elytras, so I was ready. I flew all around the nether to see what I could find and came across this interesting broken down building. I decided to give it a deeper look and see what I could get from the inside. I was in this sculpture and surprised how easy it was. There was not really any threats from the inside and thought nothing could go wrong, but that wasn't the case at all. I got ambushed by a bunch of piglings sabotaging me from all directions. I needed to get out. My hearts got low, probably the lowest they've been throughout the 120 days I've survived so far. I was there on 2.5 hearts, no totem of undying, and no way I could get out of this. Luckily, I was able to block off the entrances of the piglings and was able to heal up a little bit. This was very scary, and I also made a very beginner mistake. I didn't even have my chest plate on. I forgot to take off the elytras. With the chest plate on, I was able to take a little bit more damage, but I did find these chests, but there was 2 piglings guarding these. After I had dealt with the piglins, I went to see what rewards were waiting for me in the chests. The loot that I had found in the chests weren't that good, so I decided to keep exploring around the nether to see if I could find another one of these things and see if I could get any better loot. As I was looking around, I did manage to stumble across another one. I calmly climbed up it and saw that there was some gold blocks awaiting me up ahead, but also some foes as well. I looked down the center of this thing and I knew it wasn't going to be easy to try and get the loot from inside. Although I did manage to find 2 chests in there and they didn't really have anything too crazy inside of them. Seeing as there was nothing too crazy in the chests, I decided to keep on exploring and I got ambushed once again. But luckily for me, the ambush wasn't nearly as bad as the last one and I was able to keep this one under control. After finding my way through this abandoned structure, I made my way to the center where I was able to see a spawner and also destroy it. But more importantly, there was so many valuable golden blocks, and even to my surprise, I checked the chest and I could not believe my eyes. Ancient debris and netherite from one single chest. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Once I'd placed the ancient debris and netherite in my inventory, I decided it was time to go home. I couldn't risk going to any more of these structures and thought it would be best if I was just to go back to my base, so that is exactly what I did. Although, with some of the damage I'd taken on the way back, most of my armor was completely destroyed, which made me want to get some more, and I kinda wanted it to be netherite armor this time. I managed to find another enchanted diamond helmet in my storage room, so I used this temporarily. Even though I found this helmet, it wasn't good enough, so I decided to go mining for some diamonds to see if I could get diamond armor and then convert it over to netherite. But as I was going mining, I heard a strange noise. To my surprise, it was a skeleton spawner. This was perfect. This meant infinite bone meal and infinite arrows. I took my opportunity to clear this thing out, and in the future, I would definitely be making this into an XP farm. For the rest of day 124, I went to go and get some ancient debris. Seeing as my armor was pretty much all destroyed at this point, I needed to get netherite to make netherite armor. I thought mining for ancient debris would be the safest way, so that's exactly what I did. I went down to the ancient debris layer, and I found so much ancient debris. It was like I couldn't stop finding ancient debris. It only took me a couple of days before I had all the ancient debris I would need to make a full set of armor and even some tools. Everything was going amazing, and by the end of day 126, I had all of the ancient debris I would need, but I couldn't use it yet, so I decided to craft it and store it up in my storage room for now. To begin day 127, I went farming and even traded with some of my farmer villagers. I needed to start getting a collection of emeralds to spend on the books that the librarians had. For the other half of day 127 and a few days afterwards, I decided to get all the diamonds I would need to make a full set of diamond armor again, and then once I had the diamond armor, I could obviously turn it into netherite. So mining diamonds is exactly what I did for the next few days. By day 129, I smelted all of my valuables and had enough diamonds for another set of diamond armor. I also took some time to take a glance at the diamond armor I was already wearing. The enchants I had on my leggings were pretty much perfect, so I decided I only need to enchant a helmet, a chestplate, and some boots. So that's when I spent the next few days trying to get a protection 4 book and an unbreaking 3 book from villagers. It took quite some time, but I was able to do it in the end, and I was extremely happy. For day 136, I decided to make a fletching table and also place around a bunch of composters to get some more farmers. I did this because for day 137, I decided to build a farm. With all of the stuff I would be able to get from this farm, it would basically give me the opportunity to get unlimited emeralds. So over the next few days, I built this farm, and it was a pretty good extension onto the island as well. By day 141, I decided to repair my shovel and head to the farm to start planting all of the crops. I then went down to the skeleton spawner to get a bunch of bones so I could get some bone meal to speed up the growing process on all of my plants. I also spent some time chopping down trees so I could get sticks to sell to the Fletcher for emeralds. For most of the next few days, I spent the time in the farm. I thought if I was able to get a bunch of emeralds quickly, I could buy all the books I would need and be able to have the best gear I could ask for. Oh, and when I say I went farming, I really mean I went farming. I kept on getting all of my potatoes and then heading back over to the villages to sell it. I also did this with wheat. I was able to get to a point where I could go over to the librarian and purchase some of the mending books. I put the mending books on my armor and even some of the tools, and not to mention the 2 unbreaking 3 books I bought for my axe and my shovel as well. While I was enchanting, I also didn't have enough XP levels, so I did have to head into the nether to get some XP, but once I had done that, I had all of the best enchants on the tools that I needed, and even turned them into netherite. I enjoyed farming so much that for the rest of day 150 onwards, I built a massive extension onto the island, one that would change the game forever. With this massive amount of land, I could have so many crops growing at once that I would just have an unlimited source of emeralds. The villagers were always happy to trade with me because I would always bring them so many gifts. While I was waiting for villagers to breed, I thought this would be a perfect time to prepare for an ocean monument battle. I needed a pufferfish so I could get some potions, and I got one by the end of day 154. I headed into my base and started brewing up some potions. These would be needed for the ocean monument battle. Not only did I make water breathing potions, I also made night vision potions so I could see under the water when I was there. I also went back down to my villages, sold everything I could for emeralds because when I wanted to take on the ocean monument, I know I would be needing the best gear I could get my hands on. So for this reason, I spent the next few days spending all of my emeralds on the librarian books. I picked up some protection books and also some unbreaking books as well. I went ahead and merged the enchanted book with the armor piece. I had my helmet enchanted with all of the best enchants. I even had my chest plate enchanted with all of the best enchants as well. But when it got to the boots, again, I ran out of XP, so I needed to head back to the nether to go and mine a bunch of quartz so I could get up to the level I needed. After breaking a bunch of quartz and getting XP, I was able to do the enchant on my boots, and there it was. Once I was able to put all of the enchants on, I individually handcrafted every piece of armor into netherite. I felt powerful and I was ready to take on an ocean monument. It was day 166. I sold my last final potatoes before setting off to the ocean monument. I was a little bit nervous to go to the ocean monument, but I knew with my overpowered armor, I would be able to take it out just fine. I did some last final preparation by getting buckets of milk that I could drink if I was to get any of the bad effects over at the ocean monument. Now, it was time. I threw my eye of Ender, and I knew that if I kept following the direction it told me to go, I would soon go past the ocean monument. I remembered this from the last time I went to the stronghold, so instead of wasting emeralds on buying a map to get over to the ocean monument, I just used my memory from the last time I went to the stronghold and passed the ocean monument. I glanced over at the ocean monument. If one thing was to go wrong here, my whole world would be gone. I did one last check over my inventory to make sure I had everything, and it was time. I drank my potion of night vision, and then I drank my potion of water breathing. I got everything ready, and I dived into the depths of the ocean to take on this ocean monument. It was extremely intimidating, and I did go over to one of the guardians to test how much damage it did. It only did around about a heart, so I knew I was safe from these. But these weren't what I had to be scared of. There was something way more dangerous on the inside of this ocean monument, and I was scared to face it, but it had to be done. I briefly explored around the ocean monument to know where to go and where not to go in an emergency situation. But before I knew it, I was face to face with one of the scariest foes I've ever encountered. The Outer Guardian. Luckily for me, I was too fast for the Outer Guardian. It was too big and slow. So I was able to use my bow to my advantage and quickly jump behind a wall if needs be. Things were getting intense, but with the last final bow shot, I took it out. I went over to collect the loot it dropped, and it gave a sponge. I knew somewhere else in this ocean monument there would be a whole room filled with sponge, and before I knew it, that's exactly what I found. Oh, and these jump scare things are actually pretty scary. As I crept round another corner, I was face to face with an Outer Guardian once again, but this was different. It had a bunch of minions guarding it. I was able to pick my bow shots and get quite close to the Guardians and do some sword damage, but there I was, once again, face to face with another Outer Guardian, and I knew after this one, there would only be one more left. Before I knew it, I had taken care of that Outer Guardian way faster than I imagined. It was now on to the final Outer Guardian. Once I got rid of this, I was free to take any of the loot from the ocean monument I wanted, without worrying about mining fatigue. Here it was, the final Outer Guardian. If I was able to get rid of this, I could claim the ocean monument to be mine and collect all the goodies from inside. I felt victorious. I'd got rid of all the Outer Guardians around and was able to claim all the blocks inside for myself. I got all of the sponge and even some dark prismarine as well. Oh, and let's not forget the sea lanterns. I had won another battle, but I had so many days left and there was so much I wanted to do. One thing I wanted to do was build a max level beacon, but I can't just put a max level beacon anywhere. I had to build an island extension just for this beacon. So that's exactly what I did. By day 175, I placed the beacon right on top of all of the blocks I had gathered over time. I had some iron, I had some gold, and even some emerald blocks I got from trading. But probably, before 300 days, I would like to mine a full diamond beacon. Before I knew it, it was day 176, and I knew exactly what I wanted to do before day 200, and let's just say, I wanted to be another boss. That's right, I wanted to take on the Ender Dragon once again. I had already done it once in 100 days, and I wanted to prove myself again by doing it in 200 days, so I looked around the nether for quite some time to try and find some gas tiers. This would be needed to respawn the Ender Dragon into the world. Between days 177 to 185, I spent trying to get gas tiers, and got pretty much unlucky the whole time. Until one single ghast dropped 4 ghast tiers. This was amazing. I could go back to my base and get ready to fight the Ender Dragon for a second time. To end off day 186, I surrounded the crafting table in glass, put the Eye of Enders in the center, and put the ghast tiers on the bottom. I then directly placed all end crystals into my inventory and got ready for day 187, where I would set sail into the ocean to try and find the stronghold for the second time. It took multiple days to make my way back over to the stronghold. But on day 194, I found the remains of some cobblestone I placed the last time I was over here. I used this entrance to make my way back into the stronghold. This time I took no hesitation and dived right into the end portal. It was time to prove myself. I slowly placed each end crystal directly where it needed to be. It was time to face the Ender Dragon once again. One by one, the obsidian towers began to summon themselves once again. I awaited the dragon's arrival. And before I knew it, I elytred straight on top of one of the obsidian towers. I knew if I was at high ground, I'd be able to take each tower out one by one. With the elytras, I felt unstoppable this time. Getting rid of the end crystals on the obsidian towers was no worries, so I decided to head to the center where the Ender Dragon was and started dealing some serious damage. For most of the fight, I was on the same level as the Ender Dragon, gliding around with my elytras, but before I knew it, I was completely out of rockets, and eventually out of arrows. I kept having to wait till the Ender Dragon came to the center so I could deal some damage with my sword. And there it was. Once again, I saw the Ender Dragon disintegrate in front of my eyes. I didn't get as much XP this time, but I still felt victorious. I proved myself for a second time and gazed over at a second portal that had been opened in return for me getting rid of the Ender Dragon for the second time. I would save this for 300 days. After getting some rest on day 199, I didn't have too much time left and it was already day 200. So for this day, I did small decorations on the island which I kept the beacon. But before I knew it, it was day 200. There I was. I had survived another 200 days in hardcore. I felt accomplished. Honestly, there's a bunch more stuff I want to get done in 300 days, so let me know if you guys want to see that. But apart from that, thank you guys all so much for watching, and there is another 200 days survived in Minecraft Hardcore. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day. Let me know if you want 300 days, because I'd absolutely love to do it. And apart from that, peace.